the madness begin. I am Will Gaillard.
And I'm Mike White. What up?
Glad to be here back on Tuesday. We're at the beginning of March now, March 5th, 2019.
Oh, this junk got here so quick, bro.
I'm saying, already in the third month, man. But yeah, we are broadcasting on YouTube. We're broadcasting on Twitter through Periscope. Actually Periscope through Twitter. Also broadcasting on Twitch. So hello to everybody. We're thankful for you along the way with us. I think we have a good show for you tonight. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. Of course, the Ilhan Omar controversy, some election 2020 news, some more entrants. So like I said, I think we have a good show for everybody. We're just going to give it a few more seconds and then get rolling. Hope everybody's weekend was good, productive.
A lot of stuff happened over the weekend, man. You got
hold on, maybe they can. Maybe before they couldn't hear us. Can we be heard now? We should be able to be heard. I believe. Yeah, it's registering. Maybe it was before when the counter was
yeah, when the counter was going down. Yeah. So yeah, let us know.
Just want to make sure that you can hear us.
Yeah.
All right, they can hear us.
Okay.
All right.
But yeah, a lot of stuff went on this weekend, man. You had Bernie in Chicago.
Right.
With his speech.
What else? Too.
Huh?
New York on Friday.
New York on Friday, and then he was on Chicago on Sunday.
Right.
Got the CPAC conference, dog.
At the CPAC.
Yo, man.
That joke was crazy. Not in a good way.
It's not in a good way, man. And it was capped off by a 2-hour Trump speech that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Was it a little bit over 2 hours?
A little bit over 2 hours. This is like in addition to all the other stuff.
I think before he was even halfway done, he had said something like, "Oh, let me wrap this up."
What else? Whitaker is out.
Yeah, Whitaker's out at the Justice Department.
Protest in California.
True, Stephon
Clark. A lot of people got arrested.
Yeah.
The police. Yeah, it looked like there was like 10 times more police than protesters.
Right.
They kind of funneled them to the bridge, and they just started arresting everybody.
Right. That decision was expected. We had talked about the DA there before. Remember, she was on a re-election.
On a re-election, yeah. She got a lot of funding from police unions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was bought by the police unions.
Definitely.
Yes.
That was expected. So.
Oh yeah, definitely expected. All right, so let's get started, okay? Let me see here. All right, yeah. So over the weekend, vicious tornadoes touched down in a few southern states in the United States of America, and it's led to several deaths. The images were truly devastating. I've seen some images that showed houses were ripped clear off of the foundations. I don't believe there were any fatalities reported for the states of Georgia and Florida, but in Lee County and Alabama, there were 23 reported deaths. I've seen some reports indicating that they only had the citizens there, the residents there, they only had minutes to prepare for it, minutes to hide or try to get out of the area. It seemed to be something that was unexpected.
There was a tornado warning here, too.
Yeah, there was. Actually, I'm not sure if it touched down, but it was close to here.
Yeah, I don't think it did.
Yeah, but definitely devastating that, 23 people, I guess at least 23 people died because of it. As you can expect, a president would have something to say about the devastation, about helping the residents of that area, the residents that have been impacted by this terrible disaster. So on Twitter, President Trump said, he said, FEMA has been told directly by me to give the A+ treatment to the great state of Alabama and the wonderful people who have been so devastated by the tornadoes. Governor Kay Ivey, one of the best in our country, has been so informed. She is working closely with FEMA and me.
So I'm trying to figure out why the need to prompt FEMA to do their job in Alabama. Why does Trump feel the need to instruct FEMA on doing the job they're supposed to do in Alabama? Like, I don't understand where where that comes from.
Yeah, FEMA, of course, has a job to do when disaster strikes. Could be because of tornadoes, could be because of wildfires, hurricanes. It could be because of anything. And they go in and they help out. They help out any way they can. I don't believe their efforts are dictated by the area that they're in or the people that they are serving. So for President Trump to dictate to them to give the state of Alabama the A+ treatment, what are you saying? First of all, I'm not even sure that this conversation even took place because, Donald Trump likes to lie.
About who he talks to,
Yes.
who said what. Like,
Yes.
I've talked to many people. Yeah, so yeah. Like,
I'm not even sure it happened.
I doubt that happened.
But even him saying that it happened, when you take into consideration the manner in which he conducted himself when there was Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, and how he chastised the people there and threatened to pull recovery from them, referred to them as like lazy and couldn't do things for themselves. We're talking about an area that most of the island was devastated.
So he wasn't worried about Puerto Rico getting the A+ treatment, is what you're saying.
Because we didn't hear that at all. We heard a lot of condemnation from
So,
President
like,
Trump.
is he suggesting that, like, those who work for FEMA and those who are employed by FEMA and who have the job of providing assistance to states that are going through a disaster, does he somehow think that those people look at Alabama and just like, you know what? I know they're going through a disaster and everything, and it's our job. But, for some reason, I don't think I'm going to, give 100% effort.
Yeah, I'm not going to give it my all, even though it's my responsibility. And these people are definitely in need,
Even though, okay, it would make sense for him to say that if there was some sort of history or past, I guess, that FEMA had in regard to the effort they showed to particular states.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
It's
And these comments are even much more troubling because he just threatened to take away FEMA funding from California.
Yep. Straight up. Don't give California the A+ treatment. Alabama, though, there's some good people there. Oh, yeah. It's a damn really dark red state, isn't it? That doesn't have anything to do with it, though. I'm sure the politics of the state have nothing to do with what he said on Twitter.
No.
Not connected in any way whatsoever. So staying with Donald Trump. On Monday, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler announced an investigation into President Trump's campaign and business actions. So the investigation has a very wide net. The Judiciary Committee on Monday sent letters to 81 people and entities, including the White House, the Justice Department, senior campaign officials, Trump Organization officials, and the president's son, marking the start of a broad investigation that will tackle questions including possible corruption, obstruction of justice, hush money payments to women, collusion with Russia, and allegations of the president abusing his office and using it for personal gain. Now, as I mentioned, some of these individuals are, of course, President Trump's sons, Eric and Donald Jr., also son-in-law Jared Kushner, who was a part of the cabinet, his campaign manager, Brad Parscale, former Trump aides, Hope Hicks and Don McGahn, Alan Weisselberg and Rona McGrath, who are longtime employees of the Trump organization. And it also includes David Pecker, who is the CEO of AMI, which is the parent company of National Enquirer.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is a very wide net, and I think this was expected. First of all, you have to take into account the time that this is happening, okay? So just a few months ago, the Democratic Party recouped control of the House of Representatives. So you knew that because of that, they were going to be taking a very hard look at President Trump's financial dealings. No more was it going to be about the Republican Party trying to shield President Trump from any type of accountability or transparency even. So also, though, just last week was the testimony given by Michael Cohen, who was the former personal attorney of President Donald Trump. And during this hearing before the House Oversight Committee, I believe there were many Democratic members that made the case, that highlighted that there was a significant need to take a look at the financial dealings of President Trump. So this really is not surprising.
Well, like, I look at it like this. If Republicans would have stepped up, right, and I guess attempted to hold Trump accountable, right, for what Cohen did for him, I don't think it would have been necessary for Cohen to even testify. I think, like, it got driven to this point because Republicans have been looking the other way this entire time.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? Not just his dealings with Cohen, but his dealings with his foundation in New York as well, which now is, it's under investigation now, and inquiries have been put out for individuals connected to him in that regard, not just his campaign, but his foundation and his businesses. And so I don't think it would have gotten to this point if Republicans would have just kind of owned up to it and not kind of bent over for Trump and like essentially sacrificed their career to protect this guy. And I like I mentioned in the last show, I think it's way bigger than Trump because there's no way you would ride hard for somebody like this unless you were caught up in something too. I remember the press release that we kind of highlighted last week with the GOP.com website,
Right.
Where they were highlighting a new addition to their financial team, and Cohen was on that team. Guess what happened to that page? Guess what happened to that press release since Thursday? They took it down.
Well, they wisened up.
They wisened up. So what I'm saying is there's probably a lot of people connected to this. I think it's important that people kind of broaden their, I guess, perspective on who is connected to all this, and it's not just about Trump.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, it probably would have been no need for this if the Republicans didn't try to obstruct justice
From the jump.
Yeah,
remember
from
what,
the jump, and try to alleviate any. Well, they could have alleviated concern if they allowed regular order to commence, but they didn't. They wanted to protect them at all costs.
It all started with Nunez.
Yep, that's
from
true.
the jump.
That's true. That's true. So, of course, there is a significant pushback, especially coming from the president himself. So he responded to this by saying on Twitter, after more than 2 years of presidential harassment, the only things that have been proven is that Democrats and others broke the law. The hostile Cohen testimony given by a liar to reduce his prison time proved no collusion. His just written book manuscript showed what he said was a total lie, but fake media won't show it. I am an innocent man being persecuted by some very bad, conflicted, and corrupt people in a witch hunt that is illegal and should never have been allowed to start, and only because I won the election, despite this great success.
Yo, this is a damn child, dog.
He is a child.
Like to me, he considers people trying to hold him accountable harassment. You know what I'm saying? And if he's gonna call out Michael Cohen for being a liar, that was your lawyer for over a decade, dog.
Yeah, man.
So if he's such a liar and such a slimy guy and can't be trusted, why was he your lawyer for 10 years?
And before he called him a liar, you remember he referred to him as a rat.
A rat.
Which is not a synonym for a liar.
Was not a synonym for a liar, which is terminology that people use for when they told on you for something true.
Right.
Not a lie.
Yeah.
And like, I'm trying to figure out what crimes is he talking about that Democrats have committed? Because that's what he suggested. Well, I didn't commit any crimes. They're just trying to cover up for crimes that they committed. But I'm just thinking, like, wait a second. He claimed that pretty much nobody connected to him is guilty of anything. And I'm like, wait a second. Flynn.
We can't go down the whole list because there are too many of them.
Flynn, Manafort, Gates,
Yes.
Cohen,
right, Stone.
So all these people connected to him have been indicted
Right.
and or pled guilty, but yet he's pointing the finger at
Democrats.
the Democrats saying that they're the criminals.
Again, this is
like,
not
come
a
on
man
now.
who actually lives in reality. So he had more to say, and actually, I don't believe these were his words, but these were the words of Sean Hannity, which he quoted. And on Twitter, he said, We, the people, will now be subjected to the biggest display of modern-day McCarthyism, which is the widest fishing net expedition, every aspect of the president's life, all in order to get power back so they can institute socialism. So, first of all, again, like you already laid out the case, and we have stated this multiple times that the concerns about President Trump as a president, as a businessman, as somebody that was campaigning for president, there's significant reason to look into his dealings. I think that's been highlighted many, many times. But to this kind of narrative, again, when he was a businessman, he was already a corrupt businessman. If anybody thinks that that corruption did not follow him into the campaign trail and into the White House, they're fooling themselves. 2, you just highlighted several members of people that have been connected to him that have been indicted. We can't even name them all because there are too many. All right. So they're corrupt, they're criminals, but that has nothing to do with President Donald Trump. Okay. You can believe that if you want to. And then third, the whole claim about socialism. Now, the people that are leading this investigation, okay, you wouldn't, I guess, categorize them as progressives, would you? You wouldn't categorize them as progressives.
I would go further and say you wouldn't categorize them as Democrats or, let's say, closet Democrats.
Okay.
So I think, like, this constant framing of, like, this whole investigation being led by Democrats is completely false.
Well, okay, so you're talking about the Mueller investigation. I'm talking about just this request right here for the documentation, and it was given to 81 different entities and people. This is coming from the House Judiciary Committee, which is led by the Democratic Party at this point. But I'm saying the people that are engaging and leading this, like the Democratic leaders, would you consider them progressives? No, you wouldn't consider them Democratic socialists. That would be reserved for somebody like Bernie Sanders, who's in the Senate, not in the House, but then maybe somebody like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez too, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar. So are those freshman Democrats the ones leading this investigation into President Donald Trump? No, these are your establishment Democratic politicians. So the whole claim that they're trying to implement socialism to take over capitalism is nonsense.
Well, see, the comment about McCarthyism is funny because McCarthy claimed that 205 communists had infiltrated the State Department. Is anything close to that happening now? You see what I'm saying?
Even if it was about socialism.
Yeah, it was
even if you could consider Bernie or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, if you could consider them socialists, which they're not, is it to that degree?
It's definitely not to that degree. I don't know anybody who is claiming that 205 communists have infiltrated the State Department. If anything, which party is always fear-mongering about communists? Just last week, a Fox and Friends host accused Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of socialism and communism
at the same
damn time for wanting to pay her staff a living wage. If anything, you know what's closer to McCarthyism?
Right. What?
The deep state. Because that's
true.
That narrative and that conspiracy says that there's a secret society buried within the State Department. So, which is closer to McCarthyism?
Yeah, and it's just applied to people arbitrarily, too.
Also, interesting enough, Trump's mentor, forgot his first name, it's like something Khan, Larry, I can't remember his name, Larry Khan, whatever his name is. Trump's own mentor, he was McCarthy's lawyer. That's the ironic part about it.
That is ironic.
For Trump to call out McCarthyism when his mentor was McCarthy's lawyer.
So on Tuesday, while speaking at the White House, President Trump suggested that he will not cooperate with the House Judiciary Committee's request for documentation. So this, I guess, that suggests that he's going to use executive privilege to continue hiding his corruption. Because let's be honest, that's what it is. House Oversight and Reform Committee Chairman Elijah Cummings responded by criticizing the President of the United States and mentioned that he will speak with other committee members to discuss next steps going forward. And those possible next steps could include issuing subpoenas. So that's what it is at this point. We're at a stalemate until the House Judiciary Committee does, I guess, signal their intentions or their further intentions and how far they're willing to take this. Some people suggest that this is leading up to impeachment proceedings. And I don't know. I mean, it possibly determining, well, I mean, I guess that it depends on what they find. You know, but that's only going to come after they receive the documentation, after they talk to several people.
No, this seems to be like only the beginning because they've issued so many inquiries.
And that have not been fulfilled.
That have not been fulfilled with like 81 people.
Yeah.
That, gosh, this could like go on for the next couple years.
Yep. And President Trump did say that this was, I guess, this was trying to get in the way of his reelection bid. Which,
so
yeah,
I personally do not care. I mean, I personally,
but I think it's valid.
I personally do not care. I mean, you know, I'll kind of co-sign what AOC said during her interview with the media. Like paraphrasing, I'm not saying this is exact, but she said the job of the committee is oversight, and that's what we're doing. Right. And I could care less if there's some sort of political motivation in the background, like Trump is suggesting. Because if there's signs that he legit broke some laws, if there's signs of some sort of unethical, corrupt behaviors, like money laundering, campaign finance fraud, anything like that, then I think that's all that matters. Only thing that matters is culpability and guilt. That's right. You know what I'm saying?
And like you said, this could have happened earlier if not for the Republicans. So that is happening now, just a few months after the Democrats took back power of the House. I mean, when else did you expect that?
Just don't commit crimes. Then your opposition won't have anything to target. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Just don't commit crimes.
All right, so let's get going. All right, let's switch it up a little bit. Let's get to a representative, Ilhan Omar. Okay. All right, 27. All right, let me see. All right, so last week on Wednesday, Representative Ilhan Omar, who is a Democrat from Minnesota, was at a town hall in Washington, D.C. and seemingly brought up Israel. So Representative Omar stated, "I want to talk about the political influence in this country that says it is okay for people to push for allegiance to a foreign country." Now, after making that statement, of course, a controversy was set off. And of course that was going to happen. So it was look, several weeks ago, actually it's not even a month ago at this point, there was a controversy set off with Representative Omar after she stated that AIPAC was paying politicians to support the state of Israel. So this opposition and this controversy is really no different too. This is claims of anti-Semitism as well. So Representative Eliot Engel demanded an apology from Representative Omar and said her words were, quote, "unacceptable and deeply offensive to call into question the loyalty of fellow American citizens because of their political views, including support for the U.S.-Israel relationship." Representative Nita Lowey said on Twitter, "Gross Islamophobic stereotypes like those about Ilhan Omar recently featured on posters in West Virginia are offensive and have no place in political discourse. Anti-Semitic tropes that accuse Jews of dual loyalty are equally painful and must be roundly condemned." She also added, "Lawmakers must be able to debate without prejudice or bigotry. I am saddened that Representative Omar continues to mischaracterize support for Israel. I urge her to retract this statement and engage in further dialogue with the Jewish community on why these comments are so hurtful." So it didn't stop right there, because after Representative Lowey made those comments, Representative Omar did respond to him in a series of tweets on Twitter. So let's read those off before we get into it. So Representative Omar began to respond by saying, "Our democracy is built on debate, Congresswoman. I should not be expected to have allegiance, pledge support to a foreign country in order to serve my country in Congress or serve on committee. The people of the 5th elected me to serve their interests. I am sure we agree on that." She added, "I have not mischaracterized our relationship with Israel. I have questioned it, and that has been clear from my end. I am told every day that I am anti-American if I am not pro-Israel. I find that to be problematic, and I am not alone. I just happen to be willing to speak up on it and open myself up to attacks."
First, I think it's important to note that Elliot Engel may have a financial bias, or there may be a bias behind his comments that has something to do with his financing. If you look him up on Open Secrets, he's received a little over $150,000 in pro-Israel money. So I just, there's some people that I don't think need to be commenting, and he's one of them. Bakari Sellers is another one. We all know Bakari Sellers, a former state senator. He's a lawyer.
Yeah, state senator of South
Carolina.
Yeah.
CNN contributor and makes appearances, and he made a recent appearance, and he called Omar's comments idiotic, but he failed to disclose that he's been sponsored by AIPAC since he's been at Morehouse. So there's a lot of people who kind of receive some financial backing who are standing up to condemn Omar, and I guess using this situation as a way to justify their support, and kind of using anti-Semitism and the concept of that to cover their, their financial backing up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. There's just some people that I don't feel should be commenting on this.
So, all right, so let's get into this. I mean, because again, this is, I believe now, since she has held office, and it's only been a short time. It's only been, we're in, the second month, or after, she's only served for about 2 months now. So this is at least 3 different times where she has been criticized for being either insensitive to Jews or anti-Semitic or whatever. So in this particular case, do you buy into the criticism?
I really don't buy into the criticism. I don't believe they're good faith arguments. Like, I think she could kind of do a better job at being a little more direct and I guess more broad in her position. But I just don't think that most of the people coming against her are making good faith arguments. I think that they're just trying to shut down any criticism of, United States foreign policy, and using anti-Semitism as a guise to do that. You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna try to be fair and balanced here. Okay, so I think I can understand why there are some people that could believe that this rubs them the wrong way, and that it could sound like anti-Semitism. Because it sounds like what she's saying, again, is that the state of Israel or Israel lobbyists are forcing Americans or American politicians to support the state of Israel. So that kind of does sound like dual loyalty. That sounds like that kind of narrative. Now, I know that there are
dual loyalty for just Jewish people.
Just for Jewish people.
That's not what she's suggesting.
No. I'm saying it sounds like
okay.
I'm saying that I can understand how people hear that. So I understand that part of it. Now, we understand that Americans all across this country support the state of Israel for whatever personal reasons that they have. And that includes members of Congress as well. So if they have those personal feelings that they want to support the state of Israel, that's cool. Let that be on them. I don't think that her comments rise to the level of, I'll note, noted anti-Semite Robert David Steele, who says that the whole of Congress is bought by Israel, and that the whole of Congress has to sign a pledge of allegiance to the state of Israel, and that they put Israel's interests first over American interests. I don't think you can misconstrue her comments to that level, but I could still, I could still see why this rubs people the wrong way, because, again, if you note her past comments too that have sparked some controversy, it's like she could have used maybe other language. She could have added language to what she was saying, because of course she was suggesting Israel. She didn't say it, but of course she was talking about Israel. So if you have a problem with Israel in this regard, it's not just about Israel, it's about other countries as well. It could be about Saudi Arabia. It could be about the Philippines. It could be about it could be about many different nations that many people have criticisms of, because there are many nations where they do lobbying right here in the United States of America. So, like I said, she's not a dumb woman. I know that she's smart, and I know that she probably knew that this was going to set off some controversy. So for people that feel like maybe we're not going to give her the benefit of the doubt anymore, I can kind of understand. But I still don't believe that this rose to the level of anti-Semitism. And so I'll explain why now. So I've heard for more times than I've heard more times than I can count throughout my life that the United States has a strong bond with the state of Israel, that it's an everlasting bond with the state of Israel. And again, if American people feel that bond, like if they want to choose to support Israel and American politicians want to choose to support Israel, cool, let that be that personal decision. What I would bring up to why I have a problem with that narrative is anti-BDS legislation. So the BDS movement is boycott, divest, and sanctions, in which the people that are involved in that movement, they want to, I guess they want to put financial, economic pressure on the state of Israel to prompt them to change the way they deal with Palestinians. So this could be on a small scale level. This could be on a large scale level. This could be just somebody making that personal decision not to buy products from Israel. But it could be on a larger scale level too, where people on a collective basis try to get others to support their position as well. So it could be, like I said, it could be small scale, large scale. Either way, though, and it doesn't matter what you feel about BDS either. These are personal decisions. But why this is a problem is because we have American politicians, American members of Congress that have supported anti-BDS legislation. So my question would be, why would those politicians choose to support another country's financial interest over the United States Constitution? Because in supporting anti-BDS legislation, what you are saying is that you are okay with violating the First Amendment to the Constitution. So that's why I have a problem, and that's why I don't feel like Ilhan Omar's comments rang as untrue. It's just, for me, it was an incomplete statement. If you're just talking about Israel, it was an incomplete statement, because, like I said, I have criticisms of Israel. I have criticism of Saudi Arabia too. Now, whether I choose to boycott this country is here or there. I mean, it doesn't really matter. What matters, though, is that I have the right to do that in the United States of America. And we have politicians here that are trying to say that, no, you can't. And if you do, there's going to be punishment for you.
Okay, then. So what's the motive behind trying to shut any conversation about this relationship we have with the country of Israel down?
Right.
What do you think the motive is? Why is that trying to be shut down?
It could be an array of different.
Because there's this assumption that like anybody in any kind of Israeli lobby is Jewish, but some of these lobbies are have evangelical Christians in there,
right?
Who have very odd ideas about Jewish people and who may support Israel for other reasons. Reasons that we've pretty much went over on this show a few times. Like Mike Pence's pastor says that Jews are going to hell unless they kind of get away from Judaism and accept Jesus Christ as their Lord. So you kind of have to question why certain groups support Israel, and it's not all, I guess, altruistic. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's not just black and white on this issue. But I don't know. I mean, like, do you think that this whole situation in regard to Omar's comments is worthy of a resolution put forth by the Democratic Party?
No, I do not. And so that gets into another area of concern. And like you just mentioned, the House of Representatives, led by the Democratic Party, on Wednesday, they're planning to vote on a resolution that condemns the, quote, myth of dual loyalty. And it does make mention of the rise in anti-Semitic attacks in the country. It does not specifically call out Representative Ilhan Omar, But no doubt this is a public rebuke of her statements that she just made last week.
And see that's what makes the resolution disingenuous to come out right now, you know, after her comments, seeing as there have been multiple attacks on like synagogues. In the most recent one, there was a large massacre. You would think that, you know, they would bring forth a resolution after like an event like that, but they didn't. So it just seems as if they're trying to like put this out there in a way that attaches everything within the resolution to Omar. And if you read that resolution, most of it contains things that Omar is not even guilty of. And that's the thing that I have a problem with.
I can understand that. And who else had a problem with that is Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So sometime after, of course, this resolution made the news that it was going to be voted on Wednesday, it was earlier today on Tuesday that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said on Twitter, "One of the things that is hurtful about the extent to which reprimand is sought of Ilhan is that no one seeks this level of reprimand when members make statements about Latinx. In other communities during the shutdown, a GOP member yelled, 'Go back to Puerto Rico' on the floor. It's not my position to tell people how to feel or that their hurt is invalid, but incidents like these do beg the question. Where are the resolutions against homophobic statements, for anti-blackness, for xenophobia, for a member saying he'll send Obama home to Kenya?" And for that last one, of course, she's talking about Representative Mark Meadows, who there was recent video that reemerged of him talking in 2012 about sending Obama back to Kenya or wherever that he comes from or something like that.
His excuse for that was that it was a heated...
It was a campaign season.
Campaign season. It was heated campaign season.
He doesn't have a racial bone in his body.
I don't know what the hell a racial bone is.
That was weird, man.
That doesn't make sense, man.
Yeah. But I think her point is valid, because it does seem that the effort to go after Ilhan Omar is far more energized than anything else that we're seeing.
And I do believe probably a week ago, Elizabeth Warren highlighted Israel corruption, but she added other countries. She said something like corruption, but the first country she listed right after the word corruption was Israel. She said corruption in Israel or any other country is a cancer to democracy. She said a cancer to democracy. But I have not seen the same level of condemnation towards her.
Again, maybe, look, because that's eerily similar to what we do hear from Ilhan Omar. And like I said before, and just trying to be fair about it, maybe well, first of all, it's because there were other past incidents too. But like I said, I think she does do a little bit, she holds a little bit of the responsibility, a little bit, because again, in this comment, she didn't make a comment like Elizabeth Warren and listed other countries. Everybody that was listening or everybody that could read that statement, they knew exactly what she was talking about, and that was the state of Israel. So for her just to go after Israel, it's like, okay, why are you just highlighting Israel when this has to do with other countries as well?
And we talked about this before the show, and my response to Will was that because that's what this whole situation was framed around.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I think like the controversy began with her comments about AIPAC, and then it got kind of focused on Israel. So that's what this kind of whole, I guess, situation surrounds. So maybe that's kind of where her I guess second stanza of comments was directed. You know what I'm saying? So because it was already there. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Because she even elaborated. Remember after the first comment, she elaborated and
yes, she did.
Made it a point that it was about all lobbies. Yeah, all lobbies.
True. Yeah.
So again, I was like, I guess what I'm saying is I'm seeing it as like, I'm not separating the different comments. I'm seeing it as like a whole. I'm seeing it like as a whole, like, you know, quilt of comments. You know what I'm saying? Like a patchwork.
Okay, you're putting them all together.
I'm putting them all together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess taken by each of them by itself, yeah, I think you have a point. If you just take the comments by themselves, and I guess detaching them from all of her previous comments.
Right. And that's all I'm saying too, is like, again, I understand how people could be rubbed the wrong way by what she said. I could understand that. I myself, and it's not for me too. I mean, like if somebody feels that it was offensive or that it was anti-Semitic, that's on them. And I could, like I said, I'm not there to, call out what your hurt is or if it's valid or not. Just for me, it didn't strike me as anti-Semitic. It struck me as like she probably needed to word her statement better. She probably needed to add some words, but yeah, I didn't really believe it was anti-Semitic.
It only becomes unacceptable and anti-Semitic when you conflate Judaism with the actions of the Israeli government. Point blank. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. So let's get to some election 2020 news. Okay. I believe that's where we're going, right?
Yeah. We can go there, man, because then we can talk about what, dog? I
think that's coming last. That's coming last. That's coming last.
Oh man.
All right. So the Democratic primary field is growing even larger. Washington Governor Jay Inslee and former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper have recently announced presidential bids. So it was already past a dozen candidates, I believe, and now we're past that point.
We're past basically. Let's say well, it's not a football team, but it's enough to bring out on the field for offense.
Yeah, eligible.
Yes, we have enough eligible players to bring on the field for offense and defense.
No doubt. So this was just over the weekend that this occurred. So first, we're going to deal with the current Washington Governor Jay Inslee, and so of course he has a campaign ad, and so we have a portion of that video that we'd like to play.
Hi, Governor. What do you have to say about climate change?
A lot.
We have got to stop global warming.
Everyone in this country knows climate is changing. Reduce carbon pollution. New energy future.
Climate change. Climate change.
We should be dealing with climate change.
Climate change.
Climate change.
We need to defeat climate change.
That's what I believe. We're the first generation to feel the sting of climate change, and we're the last that can do something about it. We went to the moon and created technologies that have changed the world. Our country's next mission must be to rise up to the most urgent challenge of our time, defeating climate change. We have an opportunity to transform our economy, run on 100% clean energy that will bring millions of good-paying jobs to every community across America, create a more just future for everyone. I'm Jay Inslee, and I'm running for president because I'm the only candidate who will make defeating climate change our nation's #1 priority. We can do this. Join our movement. This is our moment.
This is
our moment.
All right. So
I would say that is a kind of a great platform to base your campaign off of.
Right.
I like how he connected it to advancing technology.
I do like that.
Because if the United States kind of views itself as the leaders in innovation and technology, it would make sense to transition to a renewable resource and kind of invest in technologies that promote renewable resources. I think that would definitely stimulate the economy.
Yeah. If we have the technology to put an individual on the moon, then there's no reason that we couldn't develop the technology to transition to renewable energy.
It's almost like saying, like, if you were against measures to mitigate climate change or measures to kind of deal with climate change, then essentially you are against American innovation. You're a liar. You're a liar if you say you want America to be first in things. You see what I'm saying?
Exceptionalism.
American exceptionalism.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like there's always times where we transition to something different. I'm like, we're not using the same products that we did 100 years ago or 200 years ago.
Right.
Like, are trains still running on steam? No.
Right.
We have new trains,
New automobiles.
Automobiles do not run the same way.
True.
So it's not like the automobile industry disappeared. That economy did not go away.
Just transition.
Just transition. You see what I'm saying? People don't use like furnaces that much anymore, do they? People don't use furnaces. I can go down to like
those phones.
The phones, yeah. Like you can kind of.
We're old enough to remember that.
Yeah, I'm old enough. Exactly, we're old enough to remember the rotary phone.
Right.
I mean, so you can go down to smaller things, not something as big as renewable energy. You can go. You can just talk about small things, like even let's say 8 tracks.
Oh man.
8 tracks to cassette tapes to CDs
to
records. Digital music.
Remember
records.
45s?
45s.
You remember 45s?
45s, man. So yeah, I mean, there's like you can like narrow it down to smaller things to show how the economy has transitioned. It's not like it just goes away. It just transitions to something else. So why not, renewable resources, renewable energy? It's the same thing.
Right. So Inslee, currently, again, he's the current governor of Washington, and he's in his 2nd term. And he has not ruled out running for a 3rd term in the state of Washington. And of course, that would be if he does not capture the Democratic nomination. So a little bit about Inslee. This is from the Seattle Times. As governor, Inslee generally has pursued a liberal agenda, backing minimum wage increases, higher taxes on the wealthy and businesses, raises for teachers and state government employees, and declaring a moratorium on the death penalty. He also backed the record-setting $8.7 billion tax break deal to lure Boeing's 777 plant, and angered labor leaders by pressuring the machinists union to approve a contract that ended workers' defined benefit pension plan. He also has pushed an ambitious climate agenda with mixed results, failing to persuade lawmakers and voters to adopt pollution fees on carbon emissions, but boosting electric car infrastructure and creating a clean energy fund that has poured millions into green projects. Despite Inslee's agenda, greenhouse emissions in Washington have continued to rise, missing near-term reduction goals set in state law. So again, like this is a guy that he has tried to lead the way on doing something about climate change for many years.
Before he ran for president.
Before he
announced he
yeah, this isn't some new agenda that he has. He definitely has a track record on it. So I do commend him for that. I guess the question would be, does he have a chance in 2020? Because right now, he's not really nationally known. He is from Washington, which, one, it's on the Pacific Coast, or it's on the West Coast. It's in Pacific time, and it's Washington. It's not, California. It's Washington, and Washington is, I guess you can consider it a progressive state. Seattle definitely, probably. I said definitely, probably. Probably, definitely, something like that. It has some progressive leanings, but I'm just not sure how much attention he will get on the way to 2020. The debates are set to, I think, start in June of this year, so that's just about 3 months away.
And I think it's more than just about attention. I think the media can give him all the attention he wants and give him just, the same amount of attention they're giving Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, and any other candidate. I think it's more than just about attention. You would have to kind of calculate that he can pull support away from those candidates that are already in the race. You see what I'm saying? So it's not just about attention. Like, he would have to pull a lot of support from those other candidates. Bernie Sanders being the candidate that probably I would liken him to. Yeah, he would have to pull support from Bernie Sanders, not from somebody like Kamala Harris or Klobuchar or Booker or anybody like that. I don't think that's happening. And look, I agree with you, because if we compare this to 2016, Bernie was known, but really not by the masses. He wasn't known on a national scale. Nah. He was from a very small state, Vermont, and a lot of people did not know his record, had never even heard him speak before. But the reason why he was able to make moves and garner so much support is because there weren't many candidates. And who he was going up against. And because there was so many different factors. So there was something to differentiate himself with the top dog. You got the failure of Obama's hope and change. Yes. And you got Hillary Clinton being in the race. You got, even though he wasn't in the spotlight, Bernie Sanders still has like a long track record that you can highlight and show people.
Yeah. For Inslee, he would have to bring to the table something different. And I'm not sure that he's bringing something different to the table. So, you know, hey, we'll see. Again, for, I believe, the first set of rules to participate in the debates that are due to take place in June, or at least the first three, I believe, are due to take place in June. Candidates have to have accumulated 65,000 contributions, all right, from individual donors in 20 different states. So they could be at any amount. I mean, they could be $1. It doesn't matter what amount they have. I mean, that they are, but they have to be 65,000 individual donors. So he's coming to it kind of late right now. This is March already, and he has just over 2 months to get that done, because I believe actually you have to get that done by the end of May. Because
they have to schedule the debate.
Yes.
See, so, I'm thinking half the field is not even going to qualify.
I don't think so either.
I'm thinking half the field is not even going to qualify to be in those debates. And if you're not in that first debate, you might as well just hang it up.
I agree. All right, so let's go to Hickenlooper. Okay, so of course, John Hickenlooper.
I wanted to mention one thing about Inslee.
Sure.
Like, even though I agree with his platform, I can see people attacking him for benefiting from that platform, because he owns a solar panel company.
Right.
So people will say, oh, he's only for climate change because he could benefit. I don't believe that, but I know that's what is kind of would be working against him if he did gain some popularity. But go ahead, the Hickenlooper.
It does open himself up.
Oh, he opens himself up, yeah.
All right, so former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper has also announced his intention to seek the presidency in 2020. So he has released a campaign video as well, and we'd like to play a little bit of that for you.
I'm John Hickenlooper. I'm running for president because we're facing a crisis that threatens everything we stand for. At the age of 50, I was elected mayor. We transformed Denver into a national model for what a city could be. Then, during my 8 years as governor, we did the hard things families needed. With a divided legislature, we got health care coverage for nearly 95% of all Coloradans. We lifted our rural economy as Colorado went from 40th in job growth to the #1 economy in America.
We brought environmentalists and oil and gas companies to the table to create the toughest methane emissions laws in the country. Then, we beat the NRA by enacting universal background checks and banning high-capacity magazines.
I'm running for president because we need dreamers in Washington, but we also need to get things done. I've proven again and again I can bring people together to produce the progressive change Washington has failed to deliver. Join me, and we'll repair the damage done to our country and be stronger than ever.
All right, so that is former Governor John Hickenlooper. So I've never been to Colorado, never been to Denver. You have?
Yes, I have. They got a nice little mass transit system there.
Okay.
They have a little train system that runs from the airport, which is like 100 miles away from downtown. It's just like 100 miles away from downtown, but it goes all the way from the airport. It goes to some little satellite cities, suburban cities, goes through there, and goes straight into downtown. So it's a nice little setup, man. And they invested a lot of money into that.
Okay.
And so
some reasons that one could support Hickenlooper is because, again, he was responsible may not be the right word, but under his helm, the state did do some good things. All right, so it did expand Medicaid coverage. It did expand overall health coverage to almost 95% of everybody that was covered. He did pass universal background checks and ban high-capacity magazines.
Environmental stuff.
Yeah, he does seem very serious about climate change, addressing climate change.
What do you think, Colorado would be seen as being on the cutting edge of, though, primarily? As far as policy-wise? Being kind of one of the first states.
Well, marijuana?
Yeah.
The legalizing
marijuana.
Yeah.
Because when I went to Denver, within Denver and, again, the satellite cities around Denver, there was a damn dispensary.
Okay.
On every damn corner. I swear, right? Man. I'm telling you, I was just like, when we were driving, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, God dang.
Yeah. So, yeah, you could definitely label Colorado as, you know, like you said, on the cutting edge of like progressive policy, something like that. But it's not all good.
Nope.
It's not all good with Hickenlooper. He has made some decisions, or he has said some things that are definitely questionable, or that you would be opposed to. When we were just talking about the legalizing of marijuana, John Hickenlooper was not a fan of that. He was not supportive of that whatsoever. After the fact, he kind of relented a little bit.
He came around.
He came around, but he was not for it whatsoever. Also, not supportive of Medicare for all either. He's supportive of, I don't know if he said it, but I'm sure he would say something like, yeah, we can just strengthen the ACA,
yeah.
You know, and work to get everybody covered, reach 100% coverage. What that looks like, I have no idea. I remember when Hillary Clinton said the same thing. It was like, okay, how do you get there? No information whatsoever. How do you actually get there? And how do you make it so that it's actually affordable, that people can actually use the health coverage that they have?
Because people are still kind of having to pay for it.
Exactly. So those things I'm definitely not in this camp about. And personally, I go back to 2016. Okay,
I know you.
I go back to 2016.
I know.
Now, initially, John Hickenlooper did not support Hillary Clinton because he was concerned about the whole email drama and all that. So initially, he didn't come out and support her, but he came around.
See.
During primary season, he was with her.
See, that's disingenuous. Like, if you're not going to support Hillary Clinton, that's not the first thing.
I'm glad you said
that's
that.
That's not the first thing I want you to highlight.
Yes.
Like, that you don't like about her is the email shit. Like, that doesn't really have anything to do with politics. You know?
Nothing, man. Like, you could say that, hey, she was clumsy, she was irresponsible.
She deserved, like, her clearance revoked for a certain amount of years.
But that wouldn't take your support away from her. No, because that would be whack. There's many reasons to disagree and not support Hillary Clinton.
I think he wanted to like pump fake and to make it look like he was like trying to hold Hillary Clinton accountable for something, right. So it wouldn't make it look like he was a stan.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But the 2000, I remember the talk about superdelegates, because you remember in 2016, did Bernie win Colorado? Am I imagining that? Did Bernie win Colorado? I think Bernie won Colorado, right? He did win Colorado. So you remember that there was a lot of talk about superdelegates and where they were going. And even before any of the primaries had even started, Hillary Clinton had some like 500 in the bag for already. And so that was a significant point of contention by a lot of supporters of Bernie Sanders. So when it came to the Colorado primary, lots of people wanted to see those superdelegates go to Bernie Sanders. John Hickenlooper was like, nah. Nah, I'm with Hillary Clinton. I do what I want to do.
So, what you're saying is there's a lot going against Hickenlooper.
Oh, yeah.
There's too many things going against him. And looking at where we have come since 2016, that's pretty much the little last thing you just talked about. Pretty much will straight kill his campaign. And he's not, again, like, even without all that, it would have been hard for him.
Yeah, because I think you could make the case that Jay Inslee is a progressive. I think you can make the case. With Hickenlooper, I'm not sure you can make that case, even though I believe he says he's a progressive, but he is noted as being a centrist, a moderate. So he's similar to Jay Inslee. He's not really known on the national scale. So is he going to really make waves in this campaign season? I just don't see it. I don't see it.
And then see, the thing is, like, again, where we have come since 2016, you have people latching on to terms because they know they have some sort of value. And it brings value to who they are regardless of whether they represent that particular platform or a progressive platform. So you have a lot of centrists who are now trying to use that term progressive or attach themselves to it because they know it's popular, and they're kind of like standing in the corner like,
Me too.
Over here, look at me. I'm progressive. I promise.
But see, I'm the progressive that gets things done.
Nudge, nudge. Man, get out of here, dog.
Hillary Clinton, circa 2016.
Oh, never mind. We'll wait.
Yeah, we'll wait.
You know I'm so anxious, man.
We're gonna wait.
I'm so anxious.
We're gonna wait, man. All right, so yeah, we got just a couple more stories. All right, so let's get to Bernie Sanders, and then we're gonna get to. You'll see. All right. So on Friday, Senator Bernie Sanders appeared on The View to discuss, among other things, his presidential campaign, the Michael Cohen hearing, and reparations. So days earlier during his CNN town hall, Bernie Sanders advocated for addressing the wealth disparity between the races, between black people and white people, but he did not welcome the term reparations. So during this appearance on The View, let's see how he did and what he said about it.
Now, the last time you ran, your poll numbers with African Americans were quite low. And you also don't support reparations for slave descendants. Why do you think your poll numbers are low, and why don't you support reparations?
Well, first of all, our poll numbers are not low. I think if you look at polls in the last 6 months, they're quite high among the African American community.
Okay.
And even in 2016, we ended up winning by good margins, votes from younger African Americans and Latinos and whites. We did very well among younger African Americans. Look, I happen to believe that at a time of tremendous disparity, the wealth gap, for example, between the white community and the black community is like 10 to 1. Health disparities are terrible. Environmental disparities are terrible. Flint, Michigan comes to mind.
Yeah.
So I think what we have got to do is pay attention to distressed communities, black communities, Latino communities, and white communities all over this country. And as president, I pledge to do that.
Why not support reparations, then?
Well, what do you mean by reparations?
By reparations for slave defendants.
I know, but what does that mean exactly?
Money.
Well, I think that right now our job is to address the crises facing the American people and our communities. And I think there are better ways to do that than just writing out a check.
So, look, we've talked about reparations, man, a number of times by now. All right, we've talked about it at least, I don't even know how many times. We've talked about it as it relates to Marianne Williamson. We've talked about it with Bernie Sanders.
We
talked about it.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So a few times we have talked about this now. And so we're going to talk about it again with Bernie Sanders. So first, let me say that for anybody that is critical of Bernie Sanders' comments about him actually not, welcoming that word reparations and not even welcoming or being acceptive of like a monetary payout.
A check.
Some, the blank check, if there's an amount to it, whatever, If he's, there are certain people that are definitely not supportive of what Bernie Sanders is trying to sell here. So to that, I can understand to a degree. Because
I can too.
If Bernie Sanders, and no, not if Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is this transformative candidate. He is an unabashed progressive. He is one. He calls himself the most progressive one in the race, right? So if this is a guy that is trying to really transform this country and really trying to spark a political revolution, then you would think that he would be the one that would sign on to the idea of reparations, but he's not.
Yeah, you're right. Now I'm glad he kind of squashed her little setup first off, because you see how she tried to set it up. Like your polling amongst black people is low,
right?
But I'm just thinking, I'm like, well, the latest polls show that Bernie compared to the other Democratic candidates has the highest polling. So if Bernie's polling is low, what would you describe Kamala Harris's polling as, or Cory Booker's polling as? You see what I'm saying? They would definitely not set the conversation up like that with them. So I'm glad he squashed that. I don't know, man. Like, I think maybe the reason why he doesn't want to touch it, I guess, if you're talking about reparations with the context of there being like checks, because as soon as you kind of go there, then people want to hear a plan. People want to hear a number.
Right.
People want to hear a number. People want to know the parameters surrounding who gets the checks and how much.
And how much, right.
And I don't think, well, as far as I know there are some groups out there that have come up with the number, but for the most part, that kind of conversation and narrative is not in there. That specific, the number, as far as like dollar amount, and who specifically. Now, obviously, we know who in general, and just talking about descendants of slavery. But who in regard to like specific people qualify,
right,
as far as age, how are you going to do that? So there's a lot of like details that he would then have to explain if he did sign on to that kind of, narrative in regard to checks specifically. So then he would then have to go into a more detailed plan, which I don't think is there yet. So I think that's why he's not going there. And like I said, I don't have a problem if people disagree with Bernie's take on reparations. But some of the narratives I've seen after this interview say things like, this proves that Bernie don't care about black people. This proves that Bernie has a problem with black people. I've seen that. And I think that's reaching a bit. But if we're going to apply that standard to Bernie Sanders, we now have to apply that standard to everyone that doesn't think handing out checks is good, and not just presidential candidates. Anyone that's opposed to reparations in the form of checks, regardless of their positions, doesn't care about black people and has a problem with black people.
And that would be the new standard.
And that would be the new standard. You see what I'm saying?
So, look, I began by saying that I can understand how people, it wouldn't ring the right way. Be like, Bernie, like I said, you're supposed to be this unabashed progressive. You're supposed to be revolutionary. We expected more from you. I can understand that. But I don't have a problem with what he said. I honestly do not have a problem with what he said. Like you were trying to make the case. When you're talking about an actual monetary give out to some degree, when you're talking about payments being made to descendants of slavery, that gets tricky because, again, the general idea of, like you said, the general idea of who would get it, but the actual technique, the actual process of actually getting that done.
That's money, dog.
Like, what age, are you going to cap it at an age limit, or is it going to be babies too?
That's what I'm saying.
It's like, it gets really tricky.
Yeah.
For me, I can say myself that I do support reparations, but my definition does not match a lot of other people's definitions. So I do want money being invested in black people, but I don't think necessarily enriching individual black people is going to do the job. We want systematic change. We want something that changes the system so that we're not going to be faced with this same type of situation years later. Like, I want something done with our communities. I want something done with the education system. I want something done so that we can actually access healthcare, that we can actually use the healthcare. All right. I want something done so that Flint, Michigan never happens again. And I noticed that Bernie Sanders talked about Flint, Michigan. So what I want is I want money being invested to actually change the system so that the disparity between unemployment rates between white and black people. Black people's unemployment rate is about double the rate of white people. I want something done about that. Build up these communities, build up these education systems and healthcare and environments. Build that up. Spend all the money. I'm totally with the idea of spending as much money as necessary to build up these different businesses and communities. But again, like when you're talking about just a check, I can understand somebody wanting that, but that's not going to do anything to actually change the system. And when we talked about Marianne Williamson, she has the most well-defined plan as it relates to reparations. Mm-hmm. And even she does not call for actual individual black people being like dispersed a check. And so like there's a clip, and we showed this before, but there's a clip of her talking about exactly what she means about reparations.
I believe $100 billion given to a council that would apply this money to economic projects and educational projects of renewal for that population is simply a debt to be paid.
So when you hear that, again, now if you go onto her website, Marianne2020.com, she goes into what her idea is about reparations. And again, she just stated right there, $100 billion. And it's, of course, there's going to be a council that that is going to determine how that money is appropriated. But I don't think she's talking about giving you $30,000 or $50,000 or giving this individual over here $100,000. No, change the system, and I think that's going to benefit generations to come. That's what we want.
Yeah, because at the rally in Chicago, Bernie dug into a lot of that. Racial disparities, maternal mortality, criminal justice reform in regard to cash bail. But I guess since he doesn't view handing out checks as a reparative option, it means he's deaf and blind to the struggles of black people, I guess. And will a check deal with all those things? You see what I'm saying?
No.
Like if we're talking about criminal justice reform as far as cash bail, policing, the drug war, just the racial wealth gap and all that, police brutality, and the list goes on, is giving a black person a check going to address those systematic issues. I just think it's a bit lofty for people to think that there's one guy who can even fix that, because it's like it requires like a whole cultural shift, a cultural change for all that stuff to go away, or to at least advance in a way that has a meaningful impact. So I don't know. I don't know. If you want to say like Bernie has some ground to cover, should we push him further to a place? I'm cool with that. But to use this issue of checks as the sole determinant, like to assess his view on race, seems a bit unreasonable to me.
Yeah, it seems to be a stretch. Again, I have to go back to the check again. First of all, Bernie Sanders seems to be advocating for doing something about poverty, okay? And yes, he does state that we need to address specific situations as it relates to the black community, people of color. Definitely, because again, those people have been disenfranchised for a very, very long time. So yes, you need to target it. So that's what I'm saying. See, a targeted approach, that speaks to me as reparations. The whole check business, if you hand out checks, no matter what amount they are, unless they're like $1 million, which that's never gonna happen. But if you're handing out like thousands of dollars to black people, okay? So what's gonna happen? Maybe black people have enough money to
pay off their mortgage.
Or get a mortgage. Maybe they have enough money to send their kid to a better school. You know? Maybe they have enough money to start a business. Maybe they have enough money to send their kid to a higher education institute, right? Or a facility, something like, a university, a college, whatever. So that's all great, but how is that money going to prevent Flint from happening again? How is that money going to help impoverished communities? How is that going to help drive businesses to these communities? Do you understand? We need systemic change, systematic change. We need change at the ground level. The ground level is not handing out money to be put into your bank account. That
seems like a practical approach, because you're looking at the bigger picture. Like, what is the result going to be? You know what I'm saying? What is the result going to be?
If you want to look at the larger picture, then yeah, that's not going to do it. That's just not going to get it done. And so that, like, maybe after we actually do something to fix poverty, if you want to have a conversation about, you know what, the debt really wasn't paid in terms of, if you want to go back to like the metaphorical 40 acres and a mule at this point. If you want to go back to that and be like, yeah, actually that debt wasn't paid, so how about we actually do something about it? If you want to have that conversation after we actually address poverty in this country, when we address the unemployment, disparity, if we do all of that and you want to have that conversation afterwards, cool.
So are you saying like checks is tantamount to putting the cart before the horse?
I think so, man.
Okay.
And I think this would I think this kind of narrative, it's not going to go anywhere at this point. Again, I don't think it should. I think it's not going to be widely approved of, no matter what you think about it. It's not going to be widely approved of at this point in 2019. It's not. Even if you think it's just, I mean, if you think it's just, or if you think it's not, I don't think it's the correct strategy right now. I just don't. We got other problems that I think we're more likely to fix than actually handing out paychecks.
Someone in the chat, I think it's Calvin Darden, is bringing up the fact that Bernie is a Jew and Jews were paid reparations. And I actually brought this up the last show, and I actually highlighted how the United States not only paid some of that, but facilitated the payment of that. Mm-hmm. I think it's important to highlight that, but it's only important to highlight that in regard to the motive behind it. It was a debt. It's seen as a debt. Mm-hmm. The reparations to Jews wasn't designed to somehow overturn society. Right. We're talking about overturning society, and reparations in the form of a check will not do that.
Good point, man. All right, so actually, before we get to the last story, before we get to that, because I know you're waiting. I know you're waiting on this. We have another video that we like to show you. And this one is coming from Sean Hannity on his program. So he wanted to highlight something that he saw during a Bernie Sanders rally recently. So let's play that clip.
Time for Hannity Watch, our investigation into the 2020 candidates. This weekend, Senator Bernie Sanders kicked off his 2020 campaign in Brooklyn, wasted little time before revealing, well, more hypocrisy. Democratic Socialist, open borders advocate, held a rally and was happy to greet his supporters from behind a barrier. Why's the fence up, Bernie? Oh, are barriers acceptable if they protect you personally? They're only wrong if they're used to protect our border and the American people, just like how many celebrities in Hollywood and politicians have armed security guards.
Yo, man, you know that when him and his staff or whoever on Fox News saw Bernie's rally and they saw the barrier, their faces must have lit up. They're like, we got him. We got him. He's behind a barrier. Why is the fence up, Bernie? Like, I don't know how you could try to correlate a fence being up with talking about the southern border, in which there are fencing. There's fencing and barriers up. There's wall. There's all types of barriers along the southern border that Democrats have been supportive of. But how could you correlate these two things? How could you say that, yeah, these are the same?
So barriers or ropes that are designed to like mark and compartmentalize where people should stand. Mm-hmm. That's the same. That's the same as a border wall.
It has to be.
That's the same. But it's interesting though. He actually started off by saying Bernie Sanders is for open borders.
He did.
So if Bernie Sanders is for open borders, then that means he isn't for barriers, right?
But he's pointing out the hypocrisy. That's why he's pointing out the hypocrisy. Bernie Sanders has a barrier at his rally.
No, but he's pointing at hypocrisy for not wanting a 30-foot, 2,000-mile long wall.
But see,
then he called them open borders, so he's suggesting that he doesn't like barriers. That's what he's suggesting.
Right.
If you're saying somebody's open borders, then you're saying that they don't. I don't get it.
You're trying to follow this man's logic.
It's not just this man's logic. I've actually had the conversation with actual people on Facebook. Some of them I know, like I know since high school, and they have kind of the same logic too. Like, if you're for any fence or wall at all, anywhere, if you're for a fence or a wall anywhere, then you should be for a 30-foot, 2,000-mile long wall along the southern border. Like we have zoos, right? Yeah. Don't we have zoos? And when you go to a zoo, not only is the entire zoo around the fence, the exhibits with the animals behind them have a barrier or a fence. You go to like some sort of nuclear test site, or you go to like an army base. There's fences around the base,
Right.
for a reason, because it's dangerous.
Are those fences 30-foot walls?
Those fences aren't 30-foot walls.
So this is an effort to equate a 30-foot concrete wall or a steel slat wall with
Walls in general.
or barriers.
Wait a
or
second.
whatever.
When you go to the airport, aren't there like barriers that kind of guide people on where to go? Security barriers.
But Democrats are
ropes?
against those. Democrats are against those borders, right? They're against those barriers.
Not only are Democrats against those barriers, they're against like the walls in their house too. Because if you have walls on in your house,
The locks on the
you're
doors.
a hypocrite. If you have locks on your door,
They're against those too.
hypocrite.
Yeah. So the checkpoints at the border, they must be against those too.
It must be against the checkpoints. Period.
Because that's security.
That's security. So basically, if you are against a 30-foot wall, 2,000 miles long on the southern border, if you're against that, then you have to be against all security measures at all times, anywhere in the United States.
So that means, Bernie, why is the fence up? You should just let all of your supporters rush the stage. Like, you remember how Michael Jackson concerts, I must be fainting, must be trying to get at him, must be fainting in the crowd? Like, those borders, those are racist. This is dumb, man.
But again, like the premise is that there's some sort of barrier or fence or gate to keep dangerous people away. Again, but they are still under the impression that their description of immigrants or those seeking asylum is to cause danger. So that's what it's based off of. And that actually hasn't been proven. That the data doesn't show that.
But
so
see,
the comparison doesn't even make sense because you see what I'm saying?
But see, look, there could be dangerous people within this within these group of people. No doubt. Everybody has to admit that there could be dangerous people seeking to cause others harm in the United States of America. You have to allow for that, right? But there is a process. And so we have to allow for that. There is a legal process. And these people are coming by way of legal port of entry. Now, if some of them or if any of them are trying to evade capture, then yeah, that's on them. We definitely want them caught, no doubt. But see, that's not the conversation, is it? Like, there's already barriers along the southern border. There's even talk about new barriers that have to be constructed. And the Democrats are not in opposition to that whatsoever. What they are in opposition to is a 30-foot wall or steel slat structure.
And the basis behind why the Trump administration wants it.
Think about this, man. Think about if Bernie Sanders held a rally but was like, yo, before we can hold this rally, I'm going to need you to construct a 30-foot wall so that I remain safe. Now, if Bernie Sanders requested that, well, then that would be a bad look.
Again, that'd
be a bad look. You'd have to watch him on a monitor.
But again, like he also mentioned armed security guards. But has Bernie Sanders or any other Democrat like advocated that border agents not have weapons? No. So they're trying to point out a hypocrisy that doesn't exist.
Nah, man. This is really dumb. It's really dumb.
Did you expect something different from Sean Hannity?
I did not, man. All right. So let's get to the last story. All right. We just have a couple minutes left. Let's get to the last story, okay?
Got choked up there, buddy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, what, man?
Go ahead, dog. Go ahead, man.
There has been much speculation about the prospects of Hillary Clinton and if she will actually run for president in 2020. Now, back in 2017, you can remember that she did state that she was done with elected office. She was not going to seek elected office again for her entire career. Her career was over in that regard. She was going to stay involved in politics, but she wasn't going to run again. That did not shut down the talk of her possibly running again in 2020 because let's be honest. Hillary Clinton is a very ambitious woman, and she did win the popular vote in 2016. Would Hillary Clinton really pass up another opportunity to become the next president of the United States?
Yeah, I know. And like, and just thinking about how much support she did receive.
Yeah.
Like, you can't ignore that.
You can't ignore it.
Like, obviously we look like beyond the superficial. Like, if you just like look at her just superficially, look at like her delivery, look at her speeches, she does have a way of kind of influencing people. She's not like a firebrand though. She just speaks very strongly, and she's for the most part concise in her delivery. So like superficially, I can see, you know, her still having a lot of support. That's just looking at her superficially. Obviously, our political analysis goes beyond that. So like just looking at reality, she did win the popular vote and she had a lot of support, and like it wouldn't be out of the question for her to run again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you said, she's very ambitious, so you can't really like rule that out, and that's kind of been kind of
circling. Just
hovering
over everybody's lives.
Just a dark cloud for some.
And a regular cloud for others, yeah. So again, everybody's wondering, and finally, just recently, a few days ago, she did make some additional comments on if she was going to run for president in 2020. So we have that video here.
I'm not running, but I'm going to keep working and speaking and standing up for what I believe. I'm going to keep speaking out. I'm not going anywhere. What's at stake in our country, the kinds of things that are happening right now, are deeply troubling to me.
So hold on.
Woosah. Well,
you can finally exhale. It's no longer a dark cloud. She's not gonna run. She said this in 2017. She was not gonna run, but again, there have been reports and there have been people that were connected to her saying that 2020 comes, she's definitely going to run. So again, for people like us who were not supportive of her candidacy in 2016 and definitely wouldn't have been supportive of her candidacy in 2020. This is good news. This is good news.
Yeah, it would just be weird for her to step on the field with the rest of the football team and kind of insert herself into this conversation with so many people. I think, like, the reason why, there's a lot of reasons why she ran in 2016, but the field wasn't as big. It was her stage.
Right.
That was her stage. It was her coronation. It was her time.
Yeah.
It's a different situation now. But I mean, I'm really not surprised that she will still be involved. That's really not surprising. You kind of have to expect that. I expected her to, you know, write the book and then lay low, do some speaking, and then kind of slowly insert herself back into the conversation, just in general.
But see, you say that you're not surprised, which I'm not either. But would you have been surprised if she did enter the field?
I would have been actually more surprised if that...
I don't think I would have been surprised.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's like, I don't think like it's black and white like that. Yeah. There's definitely parts of me that would have been surprised, but there would have been parts of me that would have been like kind of like not surprised too, based on some of the things we described about her. So I just don't think like... I think it's both, man. It's kind of hard to say because she is polarizing.
I think I'm the other way, though. I think I'm more surprised that she is not going to entertain
okay. Now, when I said I wasn't surprised, I was more or less talking about her still being involved in politics.
Okay.
That's the part I'm not surprised
about. I'm not surprised about that whatsoever.
I think if she said she's not going away.
If she actually entered the race, even for people that supported her back in 2016, that are now running for president, I think it would have been like, oh, damn it, Hillary. Why the hell did you... Because one, of course, no matter what you feel about her, you have to agree that she is a divisive figure, okay? Everybody has to agree she is very divisive, okay? She had like incredible unfavorable numbers We can talk about her history, her past, and all the decisions that she's made, all the comments that she has made, and how we are against them. This is a very polarizing figure. So if she actually entered, no doubt she would have tremendous support. I believe she would have tremendous support. I don't know if it would reach to a level where she would actually attain the Democratic nomination, but she would get in the way. She would definitely get in the way. So I think this puts a lot of people's fears to bed, including those that are actually campaigning to become the Democratic nominee, and all of us who did not want to see her in the race whatsoever.
So we are breathing a sigh of relief.
I am.
Yeah. Yes. I think that there are some people who claim they didn't want to see her, but deep down inside, they really wanted her back so they can hold her to the fire some more, which is kind of disingenuous because
good for business.
It's good for business for some people, and it's good for outrage for some people, and I think some people need to question that. You know what I'm saying? Because we see a lot of that kind of people, kind of galvanizing an audience based on Hillary Clinton outrage, and that's it. Claiming that they don't want to see Hillary Clinton, but knowing good and well that feeds a lot of their narrative, it feeds a lot of their audience and their viewership.
Right.
And so there's some people who are actually saddened, even though they claim that they don't want Hillary Clinton
Privately.
near politics.
Privately saddened.
Yeah, they claim that, but they really want Hillary Clinton there, so they'll have, you know, the enemy number one back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Again, this is 2019. After 2016, now I know that we took a little bit of a break in 2017, but we didn't talk an awful lot about Hillary Clinton even at the end of 2016 because she lost, you know? So I know that people still harbor these ill feelings about her because they're warranted. It is definitely warranted. But to still be talking about her in 2019 as if she's
still relevant,
or if if she is as relevant or impactful as other people that you should be talking about.
That's disingenuous because one, she doesn't have the power to appoint cabinet positions.
She doesn't even have an elected
position. She doesn't have the power to appoint federal judges or appoint a Supreme Court nominee. So she doesn't really have. She doesn't.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean she has no power, but to elect to talk about her over individuals who actually do have power and who do have kind of the ability to shape our lives just seems like a bit disingenuous and
manufactured outrage.
Yeah, manufactured outrage, and it seems kind of like I don't know. That just seems strange to me, man.
Because you know that if you do, like certain people know that, like you said, that's a target that will never grow old for some people. If you continuously hit her, there's enough on the table, there's enough meat on that bone to where it will never die down. You can keep chomping on that thing for years.
Forever. Even when she's not around.
Even when she's not making noise whatsoever. Again, like we just like everybody else harbor some negative feelings about Hillary Clinton. But we're not going to just drum up negative commentary about her just for no reason. No, I think there's enough to talk about. There's definitely enough to talk about. Sometimes we go over, you know, because there is so much to talk about. So, again, that's a little bit of positive news for some people. Hillary Clinton.
Some people.
Positive news. You know, I did see, I saw this panel that CNN had recently, and it was about the 2020 election. And there were 6 Democratic voters there, and they brought up Hillary Clinton, like who would want to see Hillary Clinton run in 2020 again. And I believe all of these Democratic voters voted for Hillary Clinton. I'm not sure if all of them supported her in the primary, but they did vote for her in the general. And there was one woman that seemed to love Hillary Clinton because she was even saying it into the camera, "I love you, Hillary. I love you, Hillary. Man. You know, I always support you, but take your ass home." She didn't say exactly like that, but she wanted she wanted none of Hillary Clinton actually being in the race for 2020 because she even stated herself that she is a very divisive figure, and that's not what we need at this time. So even her supporters are like, "Nah, I think your time has expired. Keep talking, but
I know I'm about to say something controversial, but like there's this kind of new terminology or a new phrase called TDS people use, the Trump derangement syndrome, to describe people who have this hysteria about Trump, but really it's designed to like kind of dismiss any criticism.
Oh, yes.
Because anytime there's criticism, I see it being used. I actually see the same thing happening with Hillary Clinton. There's Hillary Clinton derangement syndrome. And, you know, in comments that say things like, Hillary Clinton never answered for X, or Hillary Clinton never answered for Y, or Hillary Clinton never answered for Z, it's kind of like an illustration of that. Because we're acting as if, like, anything that she did, she was acting alone and not acting in coordinates with an entire system or entire team. And if she wasn't there, none of this bad stuff would have happened. That's deranged, and that kind of misses the whole point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It misses the whole entire point. Like,
she's a very prominent figure, but there are others as well that don't have her type of celebrity.
If Trump is a product of the system, like people do, and they kind of elect never to hold him accountable for anything he does, then you have to do the same thing for Hillary Clinton, because isn't she a product of the system too?
Agreed. All right, we have reached that portion of the program where we would like to hear from you. So we are going to open the phone line so that you can call in and give us your thoughts and opinions if you have a question or a comment. The number to call is 669-900-6833. And we would like to put you on. So definitely give us a call. We have gotten some new voices recently that we love to hear. As well as some loyal voices that, of course, we love to hear as well. So, like I said, if you have a comment or a question about anything that we've talked about today, the time is yours right now.
Yeah. You know, like we were discussing reparations on this show, but we were also discussing reparations on the last show. And there was kind of one comment that stood out to me that, you know, we didn't get an opportunity to address. And I can't remember who it was. I wonder if they're on the show tonight. And they asked, where does it end? Where does it stop as far as reparations go? You know, if you're paying people as a debt to, I guess, to repair something that was done to them, then where does it stop? And I thought that was a great question. We were just at the end of the show.
It is a good question.
And, you know, we just didn't have time to deal with it. Because where does it stop? As far as the United States go, aren't we guilty of a lot? You know what I'm saying? Of targeting certain country and certain people, but countries in general in regards to, like, imperialism, and we destroy their countries. You know what I'm saying? So where does it stop? I mean, the list of countries is long as far as, like, not just what we've influenced, but what we've like wrought upon these countries as a result of our regime change efforts. I mean, you can go down the line, dog.
You could.
Guatemala, Chile, Panama, Laos, Yugoslavia, Cuba, I don't know, Cambodia. It's like the list is never ending. You know what I'm saying? So we have a debt to pay to a lot of people. So where does it end?
I would say that, I mean, look, I totally agree with what you're saying here. With the whole aspect of reparations, I do understand it. Even if somebody's talking about, you know, a monetary handout, I still understand it, because when you're talking about the creation of this country, the how this country was built, it was built on the backs of slave labor, free slave labor. So I understand that debt was never repaid. I understand that. And we're talking about this homeland right here. We're talking about people in this country that, you know, people lived here. They were residents. They weren't viewed as equal members of society, but they were residents here, and they built this country for free. So I understand that there is some type of effort to redress that. And I totally understand. I understand the claim that you're making too, that, look, we have wrought havoc all across the globe. So should we engage in trying to help those communities come up?
Well, if you think about other instances where debts are paid for, like, wrongful treatment or wrongful death, don't the children benefit from that?
Yeah.
When someone dies at the hand of a police officer, right?
Yeah. Usually a settlement, right?
Yeah, dies. Their family gets a settlement. That person's dead, but doesn't their family get a settlement? That's reparations.
That's a redress, right?
That's a redress.
True. All right, so let's take our first caller. Let's see here. All right, let's take our first caller here. All right, this is a call from. Wait, hold on a second. There we go. All right, so we're going to take a call from the 571 area code. Caller, you're on the air live with LTMB.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, yeah, this is Daniel. Kweku Boateng. I
Daniel
usually
from what?
comment on Daniel from Alexandria.
Alexandria. Okay, Daniel. How you doing tonight? What you got for us?
Great. This is my first time, so.
Good.
Yeah,
Glad you took the opportunity to call in.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about reparations with regards to the reparations and how it's being handled by the mainstream media. So I think that there is hypocrisy with regards to reparations because some of the other candidates don't face the same kind of scrutiny with regards to reparation as Bernie Sanders is being subjected to. So I think that's a little unfair. I just wanted to. I know you guys have talked about it, but don't you think that all the candidates should also be required to answer with regards to their detailed plan as to how that it's going to be addressed?
We kind of touched on that while we were talking about his appearance on The View. And yeah, you have to understand that there is definitely agenda going on right now. So we're going to have to accept that they're not going to hold other candidates to the same standard that they do Bernie Sanders. Because if you watch that interview he did on The View, how the host set it up kind of illustrated what that agenda was. And I guess the narrative is Bernie is not popular amongst black voters, which is not true, especially compared to the other voters. So the whole aim is to constantly paint Bernie as if he is not popular amongst black people, I guess more so than all the other candidates, not just in general. So that's the narrative right now because he is actually picking up steam amongst black people.
And they're
so
using,
go ahead.
And they're using this particular issue, reparations, to highlight that. Because if Bernie Sanders doesn't welcome that term, but other candidates do, then that's something for them to actually attack Bernie Sanders on, even though the other candidates are not specific when they're talking about reparations. All they do is kind of give lip service to it and say, yes, I support it. What does that mean? Nobody knows. They're not specific whatsoever.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. If that's the narrative that they're going to present, fine. But where's the alternative? I'm okay if people have criticisms and want to push Bernie a little bit further on that. I'm cool, do that. But if you're going to write him off because of this, that means you're going to write off everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I think all the candidates should be held to the same standards. So, but when it comes to Bernie, it looks like you want to pin him down.
You got pipe dreams
with reparations. So I was thinking that was a little bit, they're being a little bit unfair to him with regards to that.
But yeah, this is just an extension of what happened in 2016.
They're just using another issue.
Yeah, I mean, there was the Bernie blackout in 2016.
Bernie Bros.
Bernie Bros. You remember the 16 negative articles by
Washington Post
in what, 24 hours?
Yeah.
No, 16 hours,
60,
I believe.
Yeah.
So this is just an extension of what happened in 2016. Corporate media.
The Bezos Post.
Yeah. Corporate media doesn't really want to give him a fair shot at it. You know, they're going to do everything they can because they know that Bernie Sanders presidency isn't going to be the same thing as a Kamala Harris presidency or even a Cory Booker presidency or damn sure not like an Amy Klobuchar presidency. They're going to give those people more of a shot to make their case without actually challenging them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And also, I don't know if you guys have already talked about Ilhan Omar's situation with regards to her comments and the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party with regards to how they are attacking her as being anti-Semitic. I think that they are being too unfair to her with regards to her comments because she's only talking about the influence of AIPAC on American politics. And I think it surprises me how the entire Democratic Party is usually trying to rein her in, kind of going along with the Republicans too as well. So I just find that to be not right.
Yeah, we earlier on in the show we talked about that controversy, and we talked about that resolution that the Democratic Party, because they do control the House of Representatives, that they're trying to pass, which doesn't have any teeth, of course. It's just a resolution, but it is odd, that they are choosing to attack her in that way, even though they don't make specific mention of it. Nobody's in the dark of what that resolution is about. That's just what it is. But we did talk about that a little bit earlier. You can go back and see what we had to say about that. But Daniel, we appreciate you calling in. We're going to go to the next caller.
Thanks. This is my first time calling in. So
well, we hope it's not the last time. We definitely want to hear from you again.
All right. Have a good day.
All right. You have a good night, Daniel. All right, let's go to the 443 area code. You're on the air live with LTMB.
Hey, how you brothers doing? I've been watching the show for a while. I just decided to call in to see how you guys doing.
Doing good, man. Who is this?
My
What's your
question
name?
was kind of light and simple, but what did you guys think of that 2-hour Trump fiasco that happened over the weekend?
Well, that's a good way to describe it, fiasco. But what's your name? We didn't catch your name.
Shahid.
Shahid.
All right, Shahid. Thanks for calling in. We look, I'll be honest. I didn't catch the whole entire 2 hours. There's no way I was gonna go through 2 hours of video I've seen Donald Trump at a rally talking, and that's way too much for me. I think I saw maybe one complete one when he was running for president. I saw one complete one, and it was like, oh man, I had to catch the highlights of this one, and it was, whew, man.
I don't think Trump believed half the things he said, but it was
lie
nothing.
After lie after lie.
It was lie after lie after lie. It was kind of the same propaganda he's been pushing since he started running for president. Obviously, there's been a lot more added on to some of his rhetoric. Because he actually has an agenda as president now. So it was a bunch of fear-mongering and basically toxic propaganda that he was spewing. He just followed up all the other guests with the same nonsense, all the other speakers.
But he went above and beyond.
He pretty much went above and beyond. I guess one of the things I remember about it, or one of the, parts of his little speech, where he was talking about how the mothers of these, immigrant, the trek up to the north, the southern border, that the mothers give the daughters birth control because they know they're going to get raped on the way up here.
Yeah, man. No. Massive amounts of birth control.
Massive amounts of birth control.
As if massive amounts of birth control rather than just birth control. It's something different.
They got to give them massive amounts.
Like, so 5 pills is different than just the 1 pill that you need.
And this has been told to him by Border Patrol.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the interesting thing about that is, he's actually making a case to be more sympathetic for them.
He is.
Not to deny them, because if these mothers are actually willing to do that, that means that the situations that they are coming from are very, very, very bad. And he should seek to actually work with the governments of those places to make the situation better, or make the asylum process a little bit easier for these people. You know what I'm saying? So he's literally making the opposite case of what he thinks he's making. Like, he's trying to act as if he cares about them, but if he really cared about them, he would have a different approach to immigration
Yeah,
and
and how he
asylum
deals with
seekers and how he deals with it. So it was. I mean, it wasn't anything new. I mean, we kind of expected it.
What was your takeaway, Shaheed?
I mean, I had saw like a little clip from Saturday Night Live, and it was just straight madness. Him coming out, hugging the flag, and like, but yeah, it was just crazy. I was thinking, if nothing else that he's done shows that they need to do the 25th Amendment, that speech was proof right there.
Man, it was Trump at his best, man. At his best.
I was about to say.
It's Trump at his best. He even talked about how he was totally off script. Like we said, there was nothing but lies. And he has this obsession with talking about crowd size. He's still talking about crowd size as it relates to his inauguration, which was 2 years ago. He's still trying to push back on it.
Honestly, I don't even care if it was smaller than normal. I don't care. That's not really how we assess him. I don't care if it was the smallest size in history. Nobody cares. I don't care.
Obama's was the largest. I don't even know if Obama's was the largest, but if it was, who cares, man?
Something tells me he's not really talking about crowd size. Something tells me he's not worried about the
some
size
type of other measurement.
It's something type of some other measurement.
Rubio
he's
said
worried
something about
about
that, right? Rubio.
Yeah, but his hands.
About his hands.
Yeah, it's something else he's worried about.
Oh man, look, this is a narcissist, man. He's a megalomaniac. He just can't stand the perception that he is less than whatever. He just can't deal with it.
He also highlighted that things have never been better as far as his acceptance rate. He highlighted he had a 93% approval rate amongst Republicans, which is actually not true. And I was like,
even if it was true though.
I'm like, I know even if it was true, it's number one, it's just Republicans, and guess what? The amount of voters is getting smaller.
It is.
So he's saying that you have 93% approval rating against a voting base that's small doesn't really mean much.
But see, he knows that he didn't win the popular vote, so he has to continuously do stuff like this.
Yeah, and there was some sort of, I think it was a Quinnipiac poll that showed the amount of support he had versus the amount of people that don't trust him, and the amount of Republicans that don't trust him have gone up, but the support hasn't gone anywhere, which says a lot.
It does say.
So support doesn't really mean anything. Even though they can't trust you, they just support you probably just because you're a Republican.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
All right, brothers, y'all keep up the good work, and I'll try to call back in another time. Peace.
Appreciate you, Shaheed.
All right, no doubt, man. Good to hear from you. All right, so we're going to go to the 310 area code. You're on the air live with LTMB.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey.
Good. Who is this that we're speaking with?
This is Smart Sister. That's what I'll call myself. But no, my name is Tony, actually. But
Tony. Okay.
Where you from?
Where you from, Tony?
I'm in L.A.
L.A.
L.A., all right.
You're
West Coast,
Westy.
Right. There you go, 310. But no.
She over there repping her area code.
I'm saying.
That's what's up.
All right, what you wanted to talk about today?
What you got for us today?
I was calling to talk about, just to make a quick comment on what y'all just said with his obsession with size. He know with them little hands and that little mushroom he got is why he mad, because he know Obama was African and need I say more. But anyway.
Yeah. All right.
He know. But what I was calling about was the whole reparations thing. Now, I'm getting ready to do some more study because in Cobra, all of that, I've been around for a minute, so I already know what's up with that. But a lot of people that are kind of talking about Bernie Sanders, I look at it like this. First of all, how you gonna ask your oppressor to give you some money for something that they did? Now that I'm all for reparations or whatever, but I mean, you really got to step back and think about that one. You know what I mean? You don't beg. I mean, it's almost like going back to the civil rights movement. We have human rights. I was on the Malcolm tip with that. Anytime you ask somebody for civil rights, you still putting them above you to ask for something that you already rightfully have.
I can understand that.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can understand that. I guess
Yeah,
I guess what people would say is that, or I'm not gonna put words in the mouth of some people, but I can understand somebody saying that, well, these aren't supposed to be our oppressors, right? They're supposed to actually be making sure that everything is fair in this country. Everybody has a shot at equal opportunity in terms of education and healthcare and environmental protection and all of this. So it shouldn't be our oppressors anymore at this point.
We've been waiting 400 years for that. So all I'm saying is it's time for us to take this energy and put it toward having a nation building mindset and pulling our own shit together, because we got enough among us to build whatever we need and free ourselves. You can't, I'm just not going to be begging somebody for something they know they supposed to do. And if you notice, the Democrats are going to try to take this and change the narrative on it, because basically, kind of what Bernie said, what do you mean?
Right.
When you say represent, if we can't come back what it means, $10 trillion divided by blah, 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 we need to never pay federal income tax again. We need loans for businesses. If you can't come back with exactly what it is and what's going on, you sound crazy. To me, it's ridiculous to ask someone that's oppressing you to give you the tools to free yourself. Now, am I crazy?
I do agree that
I'm just gonna get it.
I do agree that you're saying that it sounds crazy to ask for it, because you're right. It shouldn't have to be asked for, because this should have been done a very, very long time ago. So I definitely agree with that.
Right. And we already know where that's going. So to me, that little gerbil running in a damn circle and running and running and running. We've been running for 400 years. My thing is, rise up, build yourself, and then you don't have to ask nobody for nothing. Okay? And the only reason they gave reparations to the Jews, we already know why, in Israel. Then with the Japanese, we already know why, because they have to deal with Japan. Maybe if we would go back home and get Africa from being a colonized mindset, a lot of them, and build some stuff with them, that's when you get your reparations, because your homeland, our homeland, has all the resources everybody in the world needs.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
But see, unfortunately, the problem with that homeland, it's not, a lot of it is not owned by the laborers. A lot of it is not owned by the natives. A lot of it is owned by other countries and multinational corporations. So I think that's why it's kind of hard to build a group of people back up, because the ownership has still not been transferred back. So giving people a check, first off, is really not going to solve that problem.
Absolutely. That's my point, brother. That's why I love y'all. That's it. And that's the whole point. If anything, we need, instead of talking about, American descendants of slaves, first of all, our ancestors were not slaves. They were enslaved. Okay? So we need to even change that language right there. And then, the next thing, like you said, our motherland is colonized and as effed up as we are over here. So it seems like, to me, we need to be helping each other rise up and get everybody big gorilla off our back. You know what I mean? And then that's when you'll have the opportunity to really trade with each other and do what we need to do to free ourselves in the whole diaspora. And I guess maybe I'm dreaming, but to me, that's the energy that we need to be putting in shit instead of sitting up here begging somebody.
No, I tend to agree. And there's kind of another aspect of it that I draw from Fred Hampton. And he was talking about how you just can't give people something without education. You just can't give people something without education, because what happens is if you just give people something without education, especially if they've come up in a system of imperialism and capitalism, and they kind of are internalize all that, once you give them something, all they'll do is become black imperialist. They'll just repeat it. So you talk about the decolonizing people's minds over in Africa, which nobody talks about. Everybody thinks everything in Africa is just like so culturally like together, and if they would just have the opportunity and just give them something, they just create these utopias? Nah, because a lot of them, just like us, have colonized minds. If you just give people who have colonized minds money, they will become imperialists, regardless of what color they are.
Yeah, that's true. And we already know you get $1 million on Friday, white man gonna have it back Monday. By the time, with the mindset we got now.
Yeah, and people like
a lot of us, not all of us,
and these
but
black
a lot of us,
and these black gatekeepers, in the corporate media will always highlight buying power, which is not a good assessment. It's not a good assessment to determine like I guess how powerful people are or how much economic influence they have. You're just making them a different kind of slave.
Because like you said, it's just gonna be about sustaining what is the status quo. And we need to actually change what is the status quo here.
Y'all got it. That's what I'm saying. And I wish a lot of people, people already know Roland Martin and Angela Rye and all them other folks, what they there for. Because last week Angela Rye was talking about reparations came from the Russians. Now this week she's talking about
Yeah, I remember. She wrote off anybody from the ADOS movement, and then she got called out for it because she was ranting in some airport. And now all of a sudden, when individuals at ADOS movement who have a lot of following and are legitimate, all of a sudden when they figured out they misspoke, all of a sudden she wants to talk about reparations now. Get out of here.
Right, and that's my whole point. When you got Nancy Pelosi saying something, black folks, don't y'all understand that even from the 60s, like I said, when you're putting yourself in the position to ask for something, they took the focus off of economics and put it all on the civil stuff. Like, don't you want to eat by me? Don't you want to sit by me? Don't you want to drink from the fountain? Not the money. They took that whole thing. That's what white people do. If they can't beat you, they join you. So it's like, okay, we can't stop this shit talking about reparations. All right, how about we'll talk about it, but it's still going to be on the terms that we want to talk about it about.
Well, I definitely agree that there needs to be like you said, there needs to be a defined answer of what reparations is, what it looks like, like how do you administer it. We need to be on the same page with that, because if we're not, then the likelihood of anything actually being done is very slim. So I totally agree with you on that.
And do y'all think with the Republicans in office now, if they put up a bill, they've been putting up the damn bill for a year, for decades. Who's gonna vote for it? I mean, sometimes, and I am so pro-black it ain't even funny, but sometimes some of us get on my nerves sitting up here with some crazy crap that ain't gonna happen. Who the hell you think gonna pass it in the government? Right. I mean, just answer that question. Well, they still killing us. They won't lock up police that's killing us. So what makes you think somebody gonna say, oh, okay, well, yeah, you're right. We should pay reparations. Really? I'm just tired, man. You don't know. I'm 57 years old. I've been out here fighting on this fight a long time. And some shit is just ridiculous.
We definitely understand you, because I think I said before on another program that I don't think this is going to become a hot button issue. It is right now, but it's not going to determine whether somebody becomes the Democratic nominee or not, because we know that there just is not enough support for it whatsoever. Because if there was, it would have already been done, So
absolutely. And black folks sometimes like pigeons. You ever see a group of pigeons, you throw a rock and they flutter all up and be mad, and a few minutes later they right back walking. It ain't doing nothing. Okay.
That's an analogy right there.
Well, it was good talking to y'all. I will be calling again. This was fun.
Well, we appreciate you calling in, Tony.
All right, honey. Have a good one.
All right, you too. All right, so we're going to get to the next caller from the 562 area code. You're on the air live with LTMB.
Hi, Mike and stuff. It's me, Saab.
Saab, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Saab? Hold on, did you flub my name?
Good, I just got out of college.
I know I heard Mike.
Hold
on. I heard Mike. What? You know my name, right?
Jaleel White?
Who? What? Jaleel White?
Yo, that's Urkel, dog. That's Urkel, dog.
I know.
That's a whoa.
Did I do that? Oh well. See, now you got to open up the show. You got to open up the show like that now. And I gotta end the show with Steve.
I'll do that clip. You remember when we were talking about Hillary and the book launch, and we were talking about
oh
Mystical?
yeah, Mystical.
Then you were talking about did I do that?
It ain't
We still
my
got that
fault.
clip. We still got that clip. All right, man. Good to hear from you,
Actually, my question today is something that's very dear to me. I was wondering, what was your opinion on making Puerto Rico a state in the 51st state in the United States, and can it be possible with this type of administration that we have today?
Look, not only should Puerto Rico become the 51st state, but I believe that Washington, D.C. should become a state as well. These are territories that, like Puerto Rico, I believe, yeah, they can vote in the primary process.
Yeah,
but when it comes to the general election,
Yeah.
they can't do it whatsoever. We're talking about Washington, D.C., who doesn't really have representation. Every state has 2 senators and a representative. Washington, D.C. is out in the cold. You know, it's why have these districts? Why have these territories that are linked to the United States in every way, but they don't have voting power?
I think you know why. Because voting power kind of, I guess, is a way that people, like, I guess, activate their own power. You know what I'm saying?
But they're Americans.
Yeah, no.
They're Americans.
I mean, even though, like,
Yeah.
voting definitely does have its limitations, but at least if you're going to, have some sort of territory where they are affected by your policies and whatnot, they should at least be able to vote.
Right.
And have some kind of say, even within this system, at least.
I agree.
And plus the benefits outweigh the negatives. Puerto Rico will make a lot of jobs for bilingual teachers or whoever wants to go over there and speak to the people of the land English. And plus it will increase massively their tourism, which will benefit their economy.
Yeah, but yeah, that's not the only thing they're talking about, though. Or that's not the only thing they're interested in, of course, like you just laid out. It would be good for the economy, I think. It would be. But when you can pretty much suppress rights, it's probably to a lot of people that's more important. They don't want everybody having an equal voice. That was a question that was actually brought up during the CNN town hall. Not about Puerto Rico, but during Bernie Sanders town hall, a question was brought up about statehood for Washington, D.C. And Bernie Sanders did say that he was supportive of that.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we still here. Can you hear us, bro?
Oh, yeah, I can still hear you. Another question about Puerto Rico. Why isn't anything being covered about all the people who still don't have electricity and land? I know that it's far less than what they originally had, but they have an infrastructure system of electricity that was like, that's out of date. They need to like update it. Like nobody's trying to do it.
Say that again?
Yeah, what was that about?
Puerto Rico, their electrical system is like out of date.
Oh
it's old,
yeah.
Yeah,
and
well,
no one's doing anything about it to change it.
Well, I think they would do something about it, especially Trump, if he had a way of gifting maybe some contractors that he knows. I think he tried to do that, and that was kind of squashed because he was showing favoritism to one of his, I guess, a buddy of his who was a contractor, and they were trying to price gouge Puerto Rico on that. So unless there's some sort of money involved for somebody, then yeah, they won't kind of do the right thing.
I mean, if Puerto Rico becomes a territory similar to the state of Alabama, then yeah, I think Trump could get behind that. I think this current administration could get behind the idea of helping them. Because, you know, like Alabama, he wants A plus treatment from FEMA.
But I don't know. I think that has. I don't know if Puerto Rico's demographics will
I know.
mirror Alabama anytime soon.
I'm just saying if there was some way to transition Puerto Rico to like an Alabama, then I think Trump could get behind actually doing something to help Puerto Rico. But as is the case,
maybe we
now,
can trick him into thinking that like Puerto Rico is like a second Alabama or a second Mississippi.
Yeah, I don't
He's dumb. We could trick him.
It's an island surrounded by
That'll never work. It's full of Latinos, that's why.
Yeah, man. It's not exactly his type of constituency. So yeah, I don't really think he gives too much thought about Puerto Rico. Unless, like you said, there's a monetary incentive for him or somebody connected to him.
Okay. Well, that's my only question for today.
All right, Sav.
Thank you for answering.
All right.
I promise I'll get your name right.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike.
Hey. I mean, we've been doing this for a minute, and you know, it's always been Mike and Will and Mike. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just letting you know.
I promise.
All right. Good to hear from you,
and
Sav.
Bring back the dummy of the day. I want to see the dummy of the day.
We didn't have a dummy of the day tonight.
We might have one Thursday.
Yeah, we might.
We'll have one Thursday. Will she be the dummy of the day?
We might.
The story we didn't get to today.
Yeah, we didn't get to.
We can make somebody the dummy of the day. We won't tell you
That's a
now,
good
but
one.
we will have a dummy of the day on Thursday.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
get to
actually a good one. Yeah.
Oh, it's dumb.
Yeah, it's real. Oh, it's stupid. It's real dumb. You'll like that. All right, Sav. Take care.
Take care. Have a good night. Bye.
You too. You know, look, I saw in the chat section, you know, about this whole "what's my name" business. I saw a comment from Shayna Lynn.
Now called you out, though.
Yeah,
called you out.
Calling
Shayna.
out Shayna. Everyone knows Mike. Really?
Yeah, dog. I don't know, dog.
Where you be?
I know, right? Like I'm out in these streets, son. Get off me. Get off me, man. I'm out in these streets. I'm out here heavy everywhere.
Oh man.
Onion boy. What we're gonna do is we can't remember who.
No. We still got the same. We still got because the stream cut off.
Indicator is not on. That's why this Leoness says no. See, because so it went out.
See, it keeps resuming.
So it didn't cut off.
Yeah. Well, it cuts off, but then if a certain amount of time hasn't gone by, it'll keep the same stream.
So it doesn't. So is the super chat contribution still there?
Yeah, it's still there.
Okay, good.
It's the same thing. It's always interesting how that happens because nothing changes with the settings.
And, you know, it's not like we went like 4 hours or something.
No. Let me see. Is this? Yeah, it cut off again. No, hold on. Did it? See, this says that we're
streaming, yeah, but this is YouTube. That's got to be YouTube. It's crazy. We can still see the comments.
I'm saying.
So the stream is not gone because the stream. Yeah, dog. We done, dog. Because we had like 90 people in here.
Damn. 38. What the hell, dog? See, look, I don't want to do that yet.
Because it's going to like.
Yeah. All right. It's green right now. I'm about to want to see if it, because if it's, no matter if it's the hard line or Wi-Fi, whatever, it'd be the same connection. It's so funny that it's green, but there's nothing there. The elapsed time is going strong.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. So if the elapsed time is still progressing, and we can still see comments.
This I have not seen before.
Nope. Oh, so even that. So it's
I wonder if. Hold up. See. All right.
So that's
we see
bad.
ourselves right there.
So we see ourselves. That's on.
But it's still. No, that's good. I want to see if.
So on Periscope and.
Let me see if.
Yeah, no, we didn't really check to see if the stream was broken up on.
Yep.
The other platforms.
We're on Twitch. I mean, on Twitter.
So that's weird.
It's cool on Twitter.
So that's YouTube, dog. That's YouTube. So if.
All right, here we go.
So, but see, we couldn't tell whether it was off for them as well.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because if this just came back on, those could have just come back on as well.
All right, it's back on. All right, yeah, we don't know exactly what happened there.
Deep state. That's a deep state, dog.
Nah.
Without a doubt.
Must forgot my name.
With no evidence.
See, Must forgot my name.
See, don't be doing that fear mongering stuff, dog.
That's what happens.
So when you forget Will's name,
happens,
the stream goes out.
Look, I'm not trying to tout. I'm saying I'm just powerful over here. You know what I'm saying? I just got some.
So this is some like supernatural Negro shit.
Call it what you
some
want.
Like paranormal.
Call it what you want. Nah, but seriously, we don't know what happened. We didn't change any settings or anything.
Yeah,
like
it just went out.
Aliens.
I'm not saying it was aliens.
Yeah. But it was aliens. But anyway, you were saying something. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah. It was The Stakes is High. I'm not sure if that's a reference to De La Soul or not. It could be. They probably ain't here no more. But they made a comment saying that, like, Bernie Sanders knows exactly what reparations is. He's Jewish. No, I think he knows. He definitely knows, like, what reparations are. But I think, like, the whole contentious battle involves specifically checks. And I don't think he's being obtuse here. I don't think he's playing dumb and acting as if, like that's not a part of the conversation. I think he's purposely doing that so he could see where people are at. Like, okay, what is meant by these people?
He wants to ask that question, like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? Like, what does Kamala Harris mean by reparations? What does Cory Booker mean by reparations? What does Elizabeth Warren mean by reparations? What do you mean by race? So what is meant by reparations to you? So I think that's supposed to prompt them to be detailed about it. So yes, if you're still on the stream, yes, I think he knows that there's a check element to it. But him personally, I don't believe there's a check element to his personal view of reparations. But he knows that there's a check element to everybody else's view, but that element hasn't been properly outlined by anybody. Well, anybody in the corporate or mainstream media who's talking about reparations. And all other groups, the groups that have been like kind of calling for it for the past 50, 60 years.
Yes.
Yeah, now they have a well outlined view on like the checks, what it should look like.
Yes.
So, but we're talking about a presidential candidate here.
Yeah.
And so he's asked to compare himself to other presidential candidates. And this term is being thrown out there specifically by people on corporate media in the mainstream who really don't have a concept of it themselves. So what Bernie has to do, he has to see where everybody else is. I don't think he's just trying to play obtuse as if he doesn't know that, there's could be a check element involved. But I think if you're going to pose a question, if you're on The View or any other media outlet, I don't care if it's MSNBC, CNN, Fox, whatever, you're going to pose that question and you don't have a running idea for yourself what that actually means, you shouldn't be asking the damn question. So they just got the wrong people asking these questions.
The other candidates have not been specific. Now, everybody knows that it could include a check element. It could include some kind of monetary payment. Bernie Sanders isn't for that. You know who else isn't for it? seems to be nobody else either. Even the people that have advocated for reparations just loosely, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Julian Castro, none of them have talked about a check element to it. Nobody has said that, yeah, black people should get this amount of money or an X amount of money. Nobody has stated that. The one with the most well-defined plan forward in regards to reparations is Marianne Williamson, and her plan, I don't believe, calls for a monetary payment to individual black people.
We're talking about mainstream.
Yeah.
We're talking about mainstream.
Presidential candidates.
Corporate, yeah, we're talking about them. We're not talking about like smaller activist groups and whatnot.
Yeah, and I'm all for Marianne Williamson's plan. Again, we want systemic change, okay? I want changes to the system so that you can elevate black people in this country to the point to where there is no disparities in terms of the races in unemployment or health or environmental protection or education. I don't know if I said education before, but I don't want these disparities. How to address these disparities is not by handing out checks to individual black people. That's not the way to do it.
It would have to be both. It would have to be both. It would have to be a comprehensive kind of process that involves checks and reparative justice on all fronts and all aspects of society. Well, yeah, so good. Yeah, it didn't cut off the super chat, which we're glad, because we wouldn't be able to give people their props for increasing our net worth.
So yeah, our contributors tonight are Gaillard, who is a very familiar name, a very loyal supporter of LTMB, so we appreciate you, Gaillard. Also Jeremiah, which is a name that we have noted many times before. Aaron McBride, I believe that is a new name. I don't believe I've seen that name before. Included a message, Bernie's not a bullshitter. I agree. Thank you very much for the contribution. And Aaron Barnett. Yes, I know you're messing. All right. Let's not forget Mike's name.
Dang, dog. They're trolling you hard, bro.
But see, look, he's putting some money behind it, though. I excuse you.
So unless you put money behind it, see, you can't get at your boy over here. That's what you're saying?
I'm just saying, Aaron Barnett.
You can't poke fun at well. You just heard it.
No, he backed up his joke with some money. He was like, yo, you know I'm just playing with you. Hey.
Also, you taking somebody, you know, a little more seriously?
It sounds funnier
because
with
they put
money.
It
sounds funnier with money. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why that is. For some reason, it enters my ears funnier when there's money attached to it. I don't know. I don't know. It's just a coincidence. I don't know. But anyway, we appreciate all of you. And definitely appreciate our patrons on patreon.com as well, because these are the individuals that support us every single month monetarily. So whether it's $1, $3, whatever, these are the people that are given to LTMB every single month. So definitely want to say that we appreciate you. If you would like to become a patron of LTMB, just go to patreon.com/LTMB. So I think we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
I think we're going to wrap this up. Had some good conversations tonight.
New conversations.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually,
3 out of the 4 people that called tonight were new callers.
New callers. Yes. 3 out of the 4. So definitely want to thank, no. That's from the last show. Daniel, Shahid, Tony, and Sav. Definitely want to thank you for calling in, letting your voice be heard. Definitely the new individuals. We hope that we hear from you again. And anybody that's out there listening, we hope that on the next program you will get in on the action and call in and let us know what you're feeling about whatever topic that we've been discussing. So I think that's it. To Sav, we do have that dummy today.
Yeah, it's all ready to go.
It's all ready.
It's all
to go.
packaged.
Yeah,
it's all
we
packaged.
Got everything.
All we gotta do is like
you gotta lay it
put
out.
a stamp on it.
Yeah,
and it's good.
True that. Oh, I don't have the featured image yet.
Oh.
Got to make that.
Okay.
But yeah, everything else is ready to go. Commentary, I think we got that all down. Unless something arises where there's somebody
unless somebody says, "Hold my beer." I got this.
I got some real stupid ish to get off my chest. Unless that happens, yeah, I think we have somebody lined up for everybody. So definitely thank you to all the people that are in the chat as well.
Yo, you know it's bad when Gene getting at you, dog.
Gene,
you know it's bad when Gene is getting at you, dog. You know how mild.
No, hold up.
No.
You've been sweet talking Gene, so that's more expected than anything else. You've been sweet talking her, man.
Well then, you got work to do, dog.
Nah.
You got work to do. But it's organic sweet talk. It's organic sweet talk.
You made a song.
It's not that saccharine sweet talk.
Hold on.
It's not that fake stevia dextrin sweet talk. It's not that, sweet and low sweet talk. It's natural sugar. Honeycomb sweet talk, boy. From here, son. From here. Woo.
Okay. All right.
Had to sip
on something. Had to sip on just a little something there. Yeah, I think tonight's gonna be that night we end with the song.
Which one though? Because there's two. There's two of them. Which one?
You see, my chest can't handle this.
There's two.
The chest can't handle it.
Can I choose?
You know what? It's on you. Let's get ready for that. Because we got that one. And we got that one too, right?
I like that one.
You want that one? Yeah, that one, yes. This is on top of the sweet talk. Like I said, yeah, I understand Gene's little jokey joke. I understand that. All of y'all, everybody else, I'm gonna see you. It's not a threat. I'm gonna just see you. I'm gonna see you. Phil, okay. Sav, you started this, all right? I'm gonna just look. This is all on you.
It's on you, Sav. It's
all
on
you,
Sav.
man. Nah, we just playing.
Oh, and Lisa, when I was talking about honeycomb, I was talking about like the real honeycomb from the bees. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The bees.
That kind of sweetness?
That kind of sweetness.
So you a bee?
That pollinating sweetness. You know what I'm saying?
Boy, you pointed on thick.
You call it thick, but it's just all natural.
Oh boy!
But this thickness is all natural.
See so this is the maceration mode right here. This is the
Respect the game, son. Respect the game.
Oh man! All right, man. We're gonna wrap this up, right?
Yeah.
I want to be like Trump.
You're right, Lisa. Bees are dying because we whack as hell. I'm trying to not corrupt the stream by cursing because we get muted a lot. But yeah, bees are dying because we whack as hell, man. Humanity is whack as hell.
But look, like I said, I don't want to be like Trump and keep talking about we gonna end this thing and then we on for another hour or so because that's exactly what Trump did at CPAC. So we're going to leave this off. We're going to be back on Thursday, which is March 7th, and we will have a brand new set of issues to discuss and unpack, and we will also have that dummy of the day, so watch out for that. But until then, again, we appreciate everybody that supports us and joins us for this program. We will see you all on Thursday. All right, everybody take care. Let the madness begin.